Test, test, test. Okay.
Welcome to Back to the Father, a show about the journey of life focused on our final end, which is God Himself, our loving Father. And now, here's your host, Dave Palmer.
And welcome, everybody who is watching us on the social media platforms of the Guadalupe Radio Network. This is the Back to the Father program, and we're glad to have you with us. Our prodigal son has returned. We'll talk about him in just a moment. And we don't have Diane Xavier today. Diane is out. She should be back next week. But we do have the somewhat hatted one. Have you just totally given up on the hats?
No, this is totally a hat.
That's not a hat.
Yeah, it's not a hat.
That is not.
I went
What
with
is that?
It's a headscarf.
Oh, okay.
It's called.
Not a hat.
I really didn't have time to put anything together today, so I have space buns and a scarf. That was from my cousin's grandmother on his side of the family. So it's an antique.
All right. Very nice.
You're
Very
welcome.
good. And this is Jonathan von Weber-Hansberg, who you may recognize. He used to be on the show on a pretty regular basis. Had to take a few weeks off, weather, vehicle problems, but all is returned to normal now, I guess.
Yep, we're good now.
All right. Good to have you.
my mic
It's- I don't think your mic
You
is
gotta
on.
turn it on,
Yeah, you
dear.
got to turn the mic on. Okay, there you go.
Is that on?
All right. I don't think so. I think maybe we need to go pump up that pot. See, when Diane's not here, we have trouble. The other problem we're experiencing is that we are not on our regular YouTube channel. I guess we went into YouTube jail or whatever they call it. And it wasn't because of our show. It was somebody else. But I'm glad because, I'm very much against censorship. I think people ought to be able to say what they ought to say within reason. I mean, you can't go on and just say something absolutely nuts like, I want to go kill somebody or something. But within reason, people ought to be able to say what they want to say. And so on this show, we're not too controversial. We just talk about St. Thomas Aquinas. Some of it could be controversial, but... Anyway, so we are on the Back to the Father YouTube channel. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. I don't think we're on Rumble yet, right?
No, we have not created a Rumble for Back to the Father specifically yet, but may happen.
But real quick, is this? Oh, there we go.
You're on.
Okay,
There
all
he is.
right.
Hello,
You have a
world.
voice. So,
So Buddy says if it covers the head, it's a hat. So I'm just saying.
we got
Well,
Buddy.
but it's not
Okay,
covering
Buddy,
the head.
Buddy
It's
found
around
us.
the head.
Buddy found us.
Okay, so Sissel is going to be doing triple duty. She's co-hosting. She's running the board. She's changing the cameras. She's looking at
Well,
messages.
actually, Jonathan's doing the cameras today
Yeah.
for me.
Oh,
so,
okay.
so
Don't mess
Yeah,
up.
I have a
Jonathan.
job. Okay.
All right, we've got a really interesting topic today. Of course, if you're new to the show, what we do is we talk about the teachings of St. Thomas Aquinas. And in the early days, we would just say, hey, here's one of the teaching, the 5 proofs or the attributes of God or the angels. And now we've branched off and we've started talking about other philosophers, particularly philosophers that don't really agree with St. Thomas Aquinas, and then we contrast their philosophy with St. Thomas Aquinas. And as you can probably imagine, I typically fall in line with favoring Aquinas, and
No.
today's going to be kind of a no-brainer.
No, this is an anti-Aquinas show. Okay.
No, don't say it isn't so. So the question today is, if you were a candy, I don't know if you can see this or not,
I do.
which candy would you be? Are you overall an optimist, or are you overall a pessimist? And I want to make the argument during the show today that a lot of times the way we are has to do with the philosophical trends that have trickled down into a culture, trickled down even into families, into nations. And so let's kind of go around the horn real quickly. Generally speaking, optimist or pessimist?
I think I'm. Are you saying that I'm a
Pessimist.
pessimist?
No, I'm asking you. I'm saying, do you consider yourself
You were
an
like, are you
optimist?
optimist, pessimist, pessimist? And I was like, okay.
No, I was
all right.
correcting myself
All right,
because
okay.
I mispronounced it. I'm sorry.
I would say I'm an optimist.
Optimist,
overall.
okay.
Yeah, I think so.
How would you define optimism?
I think that despite sometimes there being rough patches and a lot of things not going right in life, as it does, that you're always just keeping your eyes on that there are always good aspects to a bad situation. And also, this life isn't our last, the end. So just kind of keeping that idea of even when things are really, really bad, it's okay. There's some, silver lining in the clouds.
Yeah. So you see kind of the silver lining. There's something, even in the midst of, bad stuff, there's something. Okay. That's very key. That's very important. Jonathan Van Weber Hansberg, optimist or pessimist?
I'm probably too much of an optimist, to be honest.
Oh, really? Yeah.
There are situations where I should be more serious and upset, but I still just sort of have this natural urge to make light of it.
And what do you attribute that to? Good parenting, your faith, your philosophical outlook, or what would you say?
Probably all three, to be honest. My brother and
Okay.
I, we kind of have been in unfortunate situations together a lot, and we just sort of learned to laugh at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you can immediately laugh at something that's gone terribly wrong, it's a good thing.
One time we got stranded in Dallas, and a piece of the car just fell out, and we just started laughing. It was just like, how ridiculous is this?
It wasn't like the engine. I mean,
It was. We couldn't move, so
Okay, yeah, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Now, I'm curious for those who are watching us now on one of the channels. Do any of you consider yourself a pessimist? I mean, do people actually say I'm a pessimist, or do they say they're an optimist, but everybody else is like, dude, you are not an optimist. I mean, you see the bad in everything. I mean,
Yeah.
do some people actually admit being pessimists?
I have
Because I'm an optimist.
I think I have some people who said that I don't know if they'd say like I'm a pessimist, but they say I tend to be more pessimistic.
yeah.
Because they said, I think some people are sometimes kind of equate pessimism and realism. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Being
right,
realistic.
yeah.
Like, listen, I like to be optimistic, but I also know like this situation's not good, or something
Yeah.
like that.
And I saw an article in USA Today about a week ago. I actually saved it, but I didn't print it out for reference today. But they're just basically saying right now there's a lot of pessimism out there. There's a lot of people that just don't think that the future is going to be very good in this country. Some people, and that will result in people not wanting to have children. They're like, oh, why would I bring a child into this world? I mean, you've heard people say that,
Yeah,
right?
all the time.
Especially for young people, like the 2 out of 3 of us in this room. I think pessimism is horrible because that impacts future generations and whether or not you're going to have children or, so I'm glad that you're optimist, but a lot of people, they're just like, nah. I don't
David L.
think.
Gray says he's overly optimistic too.
Hey, there you
Overly
go.
optimistic.
Does anybody admit to being a pessimist out there?
So far, not yet. Not
Let
yet.
someone, come on.
Yeah, there's got to be a
He can
pessimist
call
out
in
there.
and he can explain himself.
Yeah.
All right, so today's going to be fun. At the end of the show, we always do trivia. Did you come equipped, Jonathan?
Not entirely.
Nah.
I actually did.
Okay.
Now, 30
Like-
seconds
you-
before the show. but
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
last week, my trivia was a little rough. I promise I've improved.
All
Is
right.
it more Bible stuff again?
Actually, no. Congrats.
I actually have a chance this time.
You better get all of
and
your answers.
mine has nothing directly to do with the Bible, but it does have to do with the subject matter today. Okay. So,
Okay.
all right. So up on the screen, you see.
Wait, I would like to point out, I cannot see your PowerPoint, so I don't know
Oh,
necessarily
you
what
can't
to put
see
up.
it. Okay. Well, that's a pity.
You have to read. I read Dave's mind. You haven't gotten to that
you,
level
can,
yet?
Can
Yeah,
you
I
see
haven't gotten to
my
that
my
level.
PowerPoint?
Not yet.
Can anybody see my PowerPoint?
I can see it now
I put a
from-
slide of our hero up there, St. Thomas Aquinas, and I just wanted to let you see him. That's of
I
course
thought it was a
that's
picture of me.
that's a painting. That's not no. There are no photographs of St. Thomas Aquinas because he lived in the Middle Ages, and there are no Polaroids or cameras
Oh,
out
man.
there. So
Also, Dottie says she's an optimist.
all right, that's my mom.
Yes.
Yeah, my mom has commented. My first time, my mom commented. This is a big day for her. All right, very good. All right, so Aquinas, I would say, is a ultimate optimist for reasons that I'm going to explain during the show today. And we are going to juxtapose him to the 19th century German philosopher by the name of Arthur Schopenhauer.
Wow.
Okay,
Schopenhauer.
and he is the philosopher of pessimism. And when I read some of the quotes to you today from Arthur
no.
Schopenhauer, especially now, so I gave you a little bit of a forewarning.
you
I
did.
told you about his. He didn't have very high regard for women,
He did not. So he
and-
and I already are not on a good level
but
right
he
now.
didn't like life either. I mean, it
Wow.
was so.
Wait, was he a self-proclaimed pessimist? It was just-
I don't even know if that word existed,
just, like, everything
pessimism,
sucks.
but I mean, you be the judge. I mean,
Yeah.
he is known for, and the other thing is he influenced very strongly Friedrich Nietzsche, who many believe influenced Hitler. Okay, so I mean,
So he started a not good
job,
ball
Sean.
rolling.
yeah, and so I want you to kind of see the. I'm gonna give you some Aquinas, and then I'm gonna give you Schopenhauer, and some of this stuff. It really is gonna shock you.
We're
what he
going to give
says.
us two things we have to figure out who it's from.
Well, no, it's gonna be
I
pretty
think we're pretty
obvious.
much figured that
yeah.
out.
So, all right, Schopenhauer lived in the 19th century. So I'm curious, those of you out there in YouTube and Twitter and Facebook land, have you ever heard the name Arthur Schopenhauer? Is this brand new to you? Somebody like David L. Gray or Buddy, who I think have pretty big philosophical backgrounds. Has this guy hit the radar? Do you know who he is? Do you know anything about him? Like I said, I think you're going to be pretty shocked, especially Sissel. Some of the stuff, see, doesn't have good stuff to say about women. Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so
hour,
be
Sissel.
prepared.
Thanks.
So Sissel will keep
Can
track
we do
of
a
the
show
comments.
next week about a philosopher who didn't like men?
Doesn't exist.
Gotta
They
keep
were
it
all
equal
men.
here,
Didn't like
you know?
men? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah, no.
equal. Yeah. So
I'm sure we can find someone from today.
as long as we
That's
don't
true.
agree with Schopenhauer and say, yeah, I think he was definitely
Like,
right.
he
So-
hit it on the nose there.
all right, so let's start with Aquinas. Okay, so I've got a quote on here by G.K. Chesterton, another amazing, optimistic, cool English
Cool glasses.
theologian. Cool guy altogether. Chesterton said of St. Thomas Aquinas, he said of St. Thomas Aquinas, even the momentary was momentous. Okay, so what do you mean by this? That Thomas Aquinas lived in such a way that life was exciting, life was good, life was fun, okay? And why was that the case? Well, the next slide here, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Aquinas believed, as did Aristotle, in teleology, which basically meant that all things in the natural world were being guided to an end, right? That whether it be, ants or flowers or trees or human beings or what have you, there's kind of like a little hand of providence that's moving them gently towards their final end. In some cases, it's forced, like a bird doesn't have free will, but with us, it's free will. But we're being kind of gently moved along, right? And life makes sense. We've talked about this many a times. When you see life out there, it's like, oh, it kind of makes sense. The photosynthesis process or the composting, which are examples I always use, the water cycle. It's like, oh, okay, this is ordered, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's Aquinas, that's Aristotle, right? So I have a picture of two creatures on there, a beaver and a bird. Now, what's your first reaction when you see these pictures? I mean,
Beaverness.
no, more so than beaverness.
Wow, we
I
went
mean,
two different directions
what,
there.
what do you think? If you came across this, you're down at the creek and you see a beaver,
I would be in awe because I don't see beavers very often. Like I don't usually
Imagine
find.
not seeing beavers all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. Some of us don't live out way
I've
out
never
in
seen it.
Texas.
I don't think I've ever seen a beaver
in the
my life.
wild.
Yeah.
Not in the wild. I don't
No,
think.
I mean I see a picture of them right
We
here.
need to visit Anna, Texas. I think is what Jonathan's
They don't have
insinuating.
beavers at the zoo, do they? I
Should
mean,
go to Anna,
I don't know.
like
That'd be a little bit interesting.
Yeah,
But,
but-
if I say like a picture of a beaver, or if I saw a beaver in the wild, I'd be like really excited, and
Yeah.
and I'd sit there like I want to watch you build your little dam, and
because you're an optimist, and because I think again, I'm just kind of judging. You tell me if I'm wrong, but you see life is good. You see this as a kind of a cool thing. Here he's building a dam, and you're like, wow, how can a beaver doesn't have intelligence know how to build a dam, and for what purpose? And then here's a bird building a nest. And so if you look at these kind of things and you see beauty, you see goodness, you see order, you see maybe God's hand, moving these things along. Well, then you're an optimist. Generally, I'd say, generally speaking, okay?
So would the pessimist just be like, oh, the beaver's just damming up the river, and the birds just stealing all the twigs?
wait till you hear what Schopenhauer says.
Oh, no.
I mean,
boy.
he's not going to, I don't have a quote on Schopenhauer on beavers
man, we
specifically,
don't.
but
Oh,
I do
reading it
have him talking about animals, though,
Oh,
okay? And
interesting.
what he thinks about them. So just stay tuned, okay? And again, if you are watching and you're commenting, I'm not able to see the comments, but Sissel's paying attention.
Oh, and Buddy
to
says that
these.
he's heard of Schopenhauer in conversation, not much in knowledge, though.
Okay. All right. So good. I get to tell Buddy about this pretty wild and crazy philosopher, Schopenhauer, which is pretty interesting. So, okay. So back to the PowerPoint. There's a question. The Summa says, "Are the perfections of all things in God?" Have we covered this? Probably
I
a
think
while back.
briefly a while ago.
So, as the first line says, all created perfections are in God. So what Thomas is saying is that when you're out there and out and about and you see something that has some degree of perfection, like a sunrise or a sunset or a beautiful bird or a peacock or something, your mind should say, that perfection exists in a most perfect way in God. Okay, so there's a connection between the created world and God, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, right? It's kind of optimistic, kind of positive, right? Okay, so then Thomas says about goodness in general, whether goodness differs from being. He goes on to say, well, everything that exists is good. All right, would you say that's optimistic?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a smidge.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little,
Yeah, I mean, that sounds more optimistic than pessimistic, right?
Definitely.
Okay, and then is every being good? He says every creature of God is good, and God is the greatest good, therefore every being is good. Okay, you see this kind of like optimism that's running through Aquinas here. All right, the existence of God in things, whether God is in all things, he says yes, because he moves them, he keeps them in existence. And is God everywhere? Yes, God is everywhere because he's, basically through providence holding all things together. He is in every place, is giving it existence and locative power. And so, to Aquinas' mind, the world is basically, God's playground and all these cool things that he's created. He would consider the wasp and the rattlesnake and the scorpion to be good, and the spider. I mean, everything's good, okay? What about like a tornado? A tornado would be good. I mean, if a tornado doesn't destroy anything, it's pretty cool.
They're cool if they're not like hurting anybody. They are.
Yeah, so you're going to put conditions on them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that'd be true about everything. I mean, a car is good as long as it's
Until it
not
hits somebody. Yeah,
running
exactly.
into somebody, right?
But what's the purpose of a tornado? Do we know?
Ooh.
It releases energy because
true.
energy builds up, right? And there's some kind of.
The meteorologist and Dave is talking. Yeah.
I think that's what it is, right?
I guess so. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, think of the. I was watching the Weather Channel one time, and there's a hurricane, and the guy was like, "Imagine if we could harness the energy of this hurricane," But so yeah, there is energy that I think has to be expended, and also you have. I mean, it certainly is a representation of the power of nature, right? I mean, doesn't it make us feel a little bit
Smaller?
It's smaller in a good way. Like, I could die tomorrow. A tornado could come and wipe me up, and that's humbling, right?
It's true.
All right.
Optimistic thoughts.
Indeed.
Am I turning into a pessimist all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Or I'm saying what's good about a tornado.
Catholic radio show host during the show about optimism turns into pessimist. Breaking news.
Okay, so
Oh,
then,
my goodness.
a little bit more about Aquinas, and then I'm going to depress everybody with Schopenhauer, okay?
I feel like we should have reversed ordered this and left it on a positive note.
right. Well, that's what trivia will do.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We're talking
gotcha,
pessimists by the end of this.
Yeah, we're going to be jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, okay.
Looking forward to it. Thank
All right,
you.
so can we know God? Aquinas, okay, so not only is God in charge of the world, God is everywhere. All things represent, God's goodness. And then he's like, and we can know God. Okay, a little bit now and then ultimately in heaven. Okay, so it's like this life is really exciting because it's all about us coming to know God. And then we ultimately in heaven have the fulfillment of really coming to know him in beatitude. It's like happy, happy, happy. I mean, this is all good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even, somebody like, Maximilian Kolbe, who's,
That's true.
I mean, he found goodness in a horrible situation, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I put a picture up here of a sunrise, and I think there are some people that wake up and they're like, oh, another day. I mean, you don't have to name names, but you know any people like that? Just like, oh,
No.
gosh.
No, that's me, depending on when I wake
Yeah, I
up.
was gonna say
You're
it
not a morning
depends on.
person?
I
Well,
so
I am, but I don't do it.
I'm a morning person. I'm not a getting out of bed person.
Yes. This.
So you like mornings as long as you can just.
Well, I
Stay in
like
bed.
mornings. I just don't like the process of having. Once I'm out of bed, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But like getting out of bed
if I have
is a
nothing
little
to
bit
do
rough.
that day, it's fine.
Exactly.
okay.
But if I see like a beautiful sunrise, I've gotten up really early to hike when I was in New Mexico, hiked up a mountain to see a beautiful sunrise and pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Like, definitely.
Yeah.
There are good reasons to be up in the morning.
Right. Okay. So, all right. So there's a beautiful sunrise, followed by, okay. Oh, yeah. Now, Schopenhauer's going to all be about the will. Okay. So I wanted to put this little quote in here. Thomas says, "Is the will of good only?" Okay, so what are the kind of things you desire? You desire, to have a great weekend. You desire maybe to meet a husband one day or a wife one day, or graduate from college, or make a great film, or these are all
Rule the world,
Yeah,
Okay.
but Thomas would say it's only good. I mean, because you can't will something bad. I mean, it may be bad, it may not be the highest good, but there's some element of goodness to it. So
Yeah.
again. Optimism. Okay. Okay. So the philosopher Aristotle says that the good is that which all desire. Okay. So then we move on to Senor Schopenhauer.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Senor
And,
Schopenhauer,
actually looks kind of like a nice guy in this picture, doesn't he?
a philosopher that looks like a.
No, he looks kind of like a crazy.
He kind of looks like a mad scientist.
the
Not
mad
gonna
guy,
lie.
yeah.
I imagine he's hunched over and he's like, putting his hands together. He's like,
Well, you think about like where do we get this idea of the mad scientist or the I think Einstein was kind of the
Yeah,
prototype
he
because he kind of
100%
had
was.
he had the crazy hair and like in Back to the
Father.
future Back to the Future. Remember Doc was
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
Little
crazy
kooky,
looking
yeah.
and nutty and
Couldn't really do simple things. It was all over the place.
So there's Schopenhauer. He
Okay.
lived 1788 to 1860. Now, if you're a history buff, do you know kind of what was happening in the world? Let's say 1800. He's 12 years old. Okay, you know what was going on? Or
Russian
what?
Revolution.
Okay.
No, I'm wrong.
No, that would be
Yeah, it's
1917. Yeah. Thereabouts. Okay, but I'll get to it. in a
I'm only
moment.
thinking of
Okay.
American history.
Okay, so here, next slide says, according to one commentator I read, his philosophy was stunningly and famously pessimistic. Okay? Now, then you look at his life. Okay? His father was a pretty successful businessman, but when Arthur was a young boy, his father committed suicide. And I put it actually on there twice, but Schopenhauer had a horrible relationship with his mother. She was kind of a philanderer and not a very moral woman. And she said of the young Arthur, he brooded on the misery of things. Okay, so not a happy kid here. Okay, so from a young age, he's not happy. Okay, so what was going on worldwide with Arthur Schopenhauer? Okay, there it is. When he's 11 years old, the Napoleonic Wars started. Do you know anything about the Napoleonic Wars? Okay, this is obviously Napoleon.
Right.
Okay, he
Yeah.
starts a war.
Napoleon
basically,
started a war.
Waterloo, Napoleon did
yeah.
surrender. Sorry.
Yeah, Waterloo was his end,
That was
right?
the end, yeah.
That was the last
That's when
battle.
he's,
He
surrendered.
lost it. He surrendered. It's over, right? Okay. Did you realize this? 2.5 to 3.5 million people died in that war. Okay, so this is like bloodshed, and it was horrible. Okay, so Schopenhauer has not only bad stuff going on in his life. His dad commits suicide. His mom's crazy. They're estranged from each other. He doesn't have any, he didn't like. I mean, he liked women, sexually, but he didn't like women, and so he's lonely. He's alone. He's, just not a great guy. And then there's all this horrible stuff going on around the world, and so he turns very pessimistic. Okay, and so his most famous book is a book called The World as Will and Representation. And it was published in 1818. So this is just a few years after the Napoleonic Wars ended, all right? So it's kind of people in Europe especially were not feeling too good about themselves. And the world is will to the extent that all ideas are a manifestation of the will. The will is not an idea or a representation, but a thing in itself. The will is the underlying reality of the world and the aim that all phenomena depend on it. All right, so do you know the difference between intellect and will? Like, what's intellect versus will?
Wait, hold on.
Like, you guys,
Are
you still in the picture with the beaver and the bird?
Wait, why did I go back?
What's going on here? Is that I'm moving kind of quickly here, so tell me to slow down if you need to.
No, it's okay. I got it. It's just that.
There's a delay.
Okay, so through intellect we come to know things,
Right.
Okay, so I see that box of tissues there. Through my intellect, I say, box of tissue-ness, right? Okay, but if I was drawn to it, then that's the will. That's the appetite. That's the will. So the will is intellectual appetite, right? So it's when you're, what do you want? What are you driven towards? What are you compelled to desire? That kind of thing. Okay, so to Schopenhauer, will wasn't just a faculty of the human person. It was everything. So everything in the world was driven by will. What do we want? And it's kind of like this involuntary just movement towards our next desire, right? Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in mind. Remember what Aquinas said about will is that it was always directed to the good, right? So Aquinas is like, yeah, will's great. It always, and ultimately it leads us to God, right? And so to our eternal beatitude. So that's a good thing. All right. So everybody good out there? I see so a few people have found us. We are not on our regular YouTube channel, but I know if you're persistent, you're looking for us. So any comments or anybody saying anything?
Nothing. I think
Everybody just be bedazzled.
Yeah,
by
everyone's just so bedazzled, or just sitting there in an existential crisis in their, living
Either
room.
or.
Yeah, no. See, we're doing a contrast here, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Good
like
cop, bad cop.
This is what Aquinas said. This is what Schopenhauer said. Okay, so all right, so we go on to the next slide. Oh, we got So I put the beaver and the bird back up there because
They're just too cute.
yeah, because Schopenhauer would say they're just, and I think we would agree on this, is that they're just driven to do something. Of course, they don't have any free will, but he would also compare humans to that in a sense, is that we're just driven by our desires, okay? We don't really intellectualize it. It's just what do we want next? And you can see here in a moment when I show you some quotes. All right, so here comes Schopenhauer. Okay, he actually was a pretty good writer, kind of an interesting writer. Okay, so he says, it is really incredible how meaningless and insignificant when seen from without, and how dull and senseless when felt from within, is the course of life of the great majority of men. It is weary longing and worrying, a dreamlike staggering through the 4 ages of life to death, accompanied by a series of trivial thoughts. They are like clockwork that is wound up and goes without knowing why. Every time a man is begotten and born, the clock of human life is wound up anew to repeat once more its same old tune that has already been played innumerable times, movement by movement and measure by measure, with insignificant variations. All right.
Okay.
I'm just
So
overjoyed right now.
So I am gonna put that to a tune on my guitar, and then
Yeah.
every time something bad happens, I'm
Just
just gonna
gonna
sit
play it.
outside and
No,
play.
no,
it.
you
Could you
have a
do it to
little
the
violin.
banjo?
The banjo,
thing?
yes.
I was going to say a violin, just like.
Yeah, so you can see where he's coming from, okay? Every
Jeez.
individual, every human apparition, and its
Bro needed
course
a
of
hug.
life is only one more short dream of the endless spirit of nature and of persistent will to live. Okay, so this guy,
Good stuff.
He needed
good
a
stuff.
hug. He really
well,
needed a hug.
I think he did. Well, he needed a better philosophy. I
He
mean,
really did. I wonder if almost like because he just didn't felt like life was so meaningless that he created this philosophy so that he would be remembered for something. So it felt like his life had meaning.
Well, interesting you say that, because he was, according to biographers, very interested in, like being known. He wanted people. In fact, this book that came out took a long time to get recognized, like
Interesting.
decades, and he was
Well, I mean, 'cause
he was
it's
so
so
upset.
bad.
Yeah, but then eventually it became very famous, and he was, he is one of the most famous philosophers of the 19th century. So he got his fame. Hey, we're talking about him today.
Yeah, that's
a
true.
long time after he died.
Vain
All right,
glory.
here's okay. So some more happy here. He says, what keeps all living things busy and in motion is a striving to exist. But when existence is secured, they do not know what to do. That is why the second thing that sets them in motion is a striving to get rid of the burden of existence, not to feel it any longer, to kill time, to escape boredom. Okay, so once you kind of have the basic necessities of life, you get bored, you're killing time, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? I mean, I am so bored with my life, okay?
Well, he and I live very different lives.
Well, it's so funny because, my mom growing up, one of us said that we were bored. She'd always be like, I'm sure there's something you can clean.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The word boring was not a word. It's like not allowed in our house at all.
And I can honestly say I have not been bored in decades. I mean, maybe last time I was bored when I was like a teenager. I never get bored. I mean,
there's too much to do to be bored.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
And fun stuff too, not just like
Fun stuff,
distractions.
I know what you're saying. Dave, give me some more Schopenhauer. This is fun, right?
Yeah, come on, Dave.
Okay.
Let's go.
He said, into this world, to this scene of torment and agonized beings who only continue to exist by devouring each other. Okay, by that he meant, okay, you look out in the animal world, and they are devouring each other,
Sure.
okay? You see, birds eating worms and snakes eating mice and snakes eating frogs and hawks eating snakes. So he saw this and it drove him crazy. He was like, what's the point? Everything's just eating each other, right? And you can see he's kind of got a point. I mean, there's a cycle of life, but you see, but him, it becomes very pessimistic. He sees no meaning in it. It's all okay. And more of that fun. Okay, he said, therefore,
Was he vegan?
I feel bad laughing at his misery.
Every ravenous beast is the living grave of thousands of others. Thank you, sir.
Oh, wow.
And
Great.
Its self-maintenance is a chain of painful deaths, and in which the capacity for feeling pain increases with knowledge and therefore reaches its highest degree in man, a degree which is the higher, the more intelligent the man is. To this world, it has been sought to apply the system of optimism and demonstrate to us that it is the best of all possible worlds. The absurdity is glaring. In fact, Spinoza, who was a philosopher before him, was a very optimistic kind of philosopher, and he hated it. He didn't like Spinoza because he was too optimistic. He thought he was too dreamy. It didn't make any sense, right? So, all right, the next slide says, have a nice day.
What, was he actually vegan? Have a nice day.
Was he a vegan?
Yeah, like
It's not, I feel like if he was in modern times, he would have been a vegan. Because he would have been like trying to stop the.
But then you're killing plants. I mean.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm just saying I feel like he would have been.
I personally like being a living tombstone for the thousands of animals or whatever.
Right.
He said.
Well, that's why I was just curious if he was hypocritical in that, that like he's talking about it like there's no, or did he just like say these things but not actually take any action in his?
Yeah, but I think he also would have said, life is worthless and meaningless for a chicken or for a cow. So why not just kill them and eat them? I mean,
make up your mind, bro.
I mean, but he's just saying, like you said before, he's a realist in the pessimistic sense. It's like, these stupid animals, all they live for is to die, and somebody eats them, so it might as well be me. I mean,
that makes sense, I guess.
Okay, so a few more fun quotes from Schopenhauer. Okay,
Great.
give me more. Okay, so let's see. He says, and this is kind of interesting. He says, comparing the intellect and the will. He says the intellect tires, the will never. The intellect needs sleep, but the will works even in sleep. Fatigue, like pain, has its seat in the brain, muscles not connected with the cerebrum. And then he says, in sleep, the life of man sinks to the vegetative level, and then the will works according to the original and essential nature. This is kind of funny. He says, the embryo sleeps almost continuously, and the infant most of the time. Life is a struggle against sleep. At first, we win ground from it, which is... in the end, it recovers. Sleep is a morsel of death borrowed to keep up and renew that part of life which has been exhausted by the day. It is our eternal foe. Even when we are awake, it possesses us partly. I mean, do you guys wish you could...
Life is a struggle against sleep.
Do you wish you could take a nap right now?
Well,
Yes.
now I do, yeah. I mean, to be fair, we're at that kind of nap time. It's siesta time.
I mean, I've already
it
taken a nap
is.
since I woke up this morning.
I mean, is there any time when you don't think like, man, I could
A
probably...
nap is
catch-
usually a very positive, thing in my head.
Yeah, but he's saying that, so all we are is we're awake, but we really wish we were sleeping. Okay, that's kind of pessimistic, right?
It is pessimistic.
Yeah. So let's
Sleeping's pretty nice.
Honestly, out of all the things he said so far, that one's the one I have the least problem with
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah, you like that, okay? But
Yeah.
well, the big one's coming.
Oh, no.
Okay, because he's gonna say some things about women, which I don't agree with. Okay.
Just want to make sure. Very clear.
Okay. Now he's talking about animals here. Okay. Now remember the beaver and the bird, and you guys said, "Oh, that's beautiful," and they're building up. Okay. Now he says. You ready? He says, the bulldog ant of Australia affords us the most extraordinary example. If it is cut in two, a battle begins between the head and the tail. The head seizes the tail with its teeth, and the tail defends itself bravely by stinging the head. The battle may last for half an hour until they die or are dragged away by other ants. This contest takes place every time the experiment is tried. Okay, so he's saying
what's he doing with his spare time?
he's saying that this little beetle is even like it's going to attack itself. One half of it is going to attack the other half. Okay, kind of pessimistic. Okay?
A little bit.
All right. He said, okay, and then he relates another place where he saw a bunch of skeletons. They were, however, skeletons of large turtles, which came on the beach to lay their eggs, and then they were attacked by wild dogs who, with their united strength, lay them on their backs, strip off the small shells from their stomach, and devour them alive. So the turtles go to lay eggs, which is a good thing, right? And they're like, oh, we're going to have babies and get back in the water. And what happens? A bunch of dogs come and devour them. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, so Schopenhauer is like obsessed with this kind of stuff, like all this like bad stuff, and this is what keeps him, awake at night, right? Okay, so let me get a couple more and then see if we. Okay, so somebody might say, well, maybe Schopenhauer would just think that everybody should just kill themselves, right? Maybe the best thing to do is just kill yourself, right? He says the final refuge is suicide. Here at last, strange to say, thought and imagination conquer instinct. He said Diogenes, who was a Greek philosopher, said to have put an end to himself by refusing to breathe. What a victory over the will to live. But this triumph is merely individual. The will continues in the species. Life laughs at suicide and smiles at death. For every deliberate death, there are thousands of indeliberate births. So he's saying, everybody can go kill themselves, but then you're just going to keep having babies born, so it's not going to make any point,
Wait,
right?
So I think I'm able to predict why he hates women so much now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, why do you think?
Getting an idea?
Is it because they have children? They're the ones that...
Exactly. Okay, so this is the last thing. Okay, this is the one, Sissel. You can. Did I mention I don't agree with this?
Can we put the picture up so I can punch him? Just to compare,
Okay. Now this is what he says here. Now this isn't just about women. This is also a condemnation of men. He says, and this is the last thing I'll read about here, okay? He says, if now we contemplate the turmoil of life, we behold all occupied with its want and misery, straining all their powers to satisfy its infinite needs and to ward off its multifarious sorrows, yet without daring to hope for anything else than simply the preservation of this tormented existence for a short span of time. In between, however, and in the midst of this tumult, we see the glance of two lovers meet longingly. Yet why so secretly, fearfully, and stealthily? Because these lovers are the traitors who seek to perpetuate the whole want and drudgery which would otherwise speedily reach an end. Here lies the profound reason for the shame connected with the process of generation, which is what you're getting at, right? So these darn lovers...
This is what you should read.
Someone was salty
on Valentine's Day. Just read that out.
I think he's salty. He didn't have a Valentine.
I know, but okay, he goes on. It is women that are the culprit here.
Thanks.
For when knowledge has reached its willlessness, her thoughtless charms allure man again into reproduction. Youth has not intelligence enough to see how brief these charms must be, and when the intelligence comes, it's too late. Okay.
Someone got hurt.
I know. So I think you're right. I think he had a bad experience. Bad experience with his mom.
Yeah, bad experience with his mom.
Okay, so now it goes on.
Oh, no.
Okay, you ready? He said, with young girls, nature seems to have had in view what, in the nature of the drama, is called striking effect. As for a few years, she dowers them with a wealth of beauty and is lavish in her gift of charm at the expense of all the rest of their lives, so that during those years they may capture the fancy of some man to such a degree that he is hurried away to undertaking the honorable care of them as long as they live, a step for which there would not seem to be any sufficient warrant if only reason directed man's thoughts. Okay, so these darn men... like me, we're attracted to a woman, we go off and we forget about all this misery and we marry them and we have babies. That's what he's saying.
Dang it.
Yeah, he's saying,
guys.
what is going on?
It's really funny because it kind of reminds me of the more recent philosophy, thought process that men kind of, get women trapped or something like that. That kind of idea. He's kind of switched. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting that he's really bearing down on women.
Oh, okay. Because you could make the same argument.
Well, I think nowadays, I think a lot of like modern feminists would be like, oh, men just like are nice and attract a girl, but then they end up being awful. You know what I mean? That kind of idea.
And
they end up chaining you down and like keeping you locked in, and you can't do that kind of idea. So it's kind of interesting that he's really being on.
And I also have heard that women tend to live longer than men, and so oftentimes women become the caretakers of men in their old age, and so women are like, oh my goodness, Okay, so now he does say the veneration of women is a product of Christianity and German sentimentality. Okay, so he's blaming Christianity. Okay, I think ultimately
I'm okay with being blamed. I'm okay if Christianity being blamed for being fond of women. Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, last paragraph here. Okay, this is going to be his summary statement. How are we doing on time? Are we doing all right? Okay, he says, the less we have to do with women, then the better. He said they are not even a necessary evil. Life is safer and smoother without them. Let men recognize the snare that lies in women's beauty and the absurd comedy of reproduction, and the absurd comedy of reproduction will end. If we stop reproducing, the whole thing will end. So he doesn't believe in individual suicide. He believes in suicide of the whole race. Okay, wow. The development of intelligence will weaken or frustrate the will to reproduce, and will thereby at last achieve the extinction of the race.
Oh, finally!
Do you see why this guy's a pessimist? And I mean, but in how he influenced Nietzsche, the will to power, right? Mm-hmm. Everything's will. And there's no recognition of beauty. There's no recognition of the thing that Schopenhauer clearly has got some issues. I mean, he's clearly got some issues. He must have died a miserable old man.
I would be really interested to know nowadays, like if he had gotten a mental health diagnosis or something like that. If he had some form of depression or something.
He
had to have something because Well, so to an extent, like listen to say on the optimistic side of things. Mr. Schopenhauer, even though you had some not nice things to say, if you were here and alive right now, even though you said some very unkind things about women and just love and all sorts of things and stuff like that, I wish you well. I think
that is so noble of you.
Thank you. I do actually feel badly for him because I do think that's a result of his upbringing and what the experiences he had.
I think and I'm guessing, he was very negative about women, but I don't think he disliked women per se.
Right.
He thought the whole thing was a trap.
Right.
It's kind of like you take. Like candy in a kid, and the kid's just naturally attracted to candy, and the candy's not good for them. I think he just sees he sees that the men are attracted to the women, but he's just so bound up in his pessimism and horror of life that he just wants the whole thing to come to an end, and he blames women for luring men into reproduction, right?
Yeah.
But you forgive him.
I forgive him. David says, shame on the woman who hurt that man. He never recovered, poor fellow. And I'm like, So I would love to. I'm almost interested in reading like an in-depth biography on him, just simply to understand his brain a little bit more and his upbringing. Because I think it's today there's a lot of hurt in our culture. There's a lot of women are very hurt by parents, fathers and things like that. A lot of things, and that really does have an effect on how people view the world. So.
Yeah, I had heard, and I don't know if this is true, I had heard that Adolf Hitler had gotten like a venereal disease from a woman, and something could happen. I don't know if Adolf Hitler hated women or not, but it's like something could happen in your life and turn you very bitter, and then and horrible things can result from it to people who never had anything to do with it, you know?
Right.
And it all has to do with, childhood. So, that might be an interesting, thesis, kind of like what in the world happened to Arthur Schopenhauer?
Right.
Oh, actually, he probably is, but was he an atheist?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's the thing is that, a lot of people can experience a lot of really, really bad. There's, horrible people have, gone through a lot of terrible things and stuff like that. And it's always interesting to see some people are able to recover from it and get back the optimistic spirit and stuff like that. And other people are not. And it's interesting.
That's true.
Obviously, I think a lot of it has to do with, faith and things like that, obviously.
I was at a retreat one time, and a guy got up there, young guy, and it was into the wild, and we're all around the campfire, and, you could get up there and kind of share something about, just whatever. And this guy, he literally worked for NASA down in Houston, and he had a family. I talked to him earlier that day. Nice guy, professional, probably did very well. And he got up there, and he just started shaking and started crying and uncontrollably. And he said, when I was 10 years old, my dad killed himself. And he said, and he's just bawling, and he said, I've never forgiven him, and now I come home from work every day and I scream at my wife and I yell at my kids, and so my point is, Schopenhauer's dad killed himself when he was a kid, and who knows, that's horrible.
It is.
I mean, because he might have blamed himself, so I don't know, but. I think the real point here, and I think you're right, maybe I should have ended with Aquinas, but we do have the Have a Nice Day slide, right?
Oh, yeah, there you go. It brings it all back.
I mean, it's the Christian worldview is very optimistic. I mean, people may hate Christianity, but and that's why I think, man, the younger people, I teach high school kids, as you know, Aquinas, and I tell them that all the time. This will change the way you see the world. Okay, you're going to see birds and mountains and trees and weather and flowers differently because it's all connected to God, but I think there's definitely a strain of Schopenhauer in our culture. There's a pessimism. There's oh, my life is so bad. I mean, look, and there's a strain of Aquinas, and I think the more that seesaw goes up with Aquinas and down with Schopenhauer, the better.
I think even sometimes it can fall into the Catholic circles too. There can be a lot of pessimism just because the culture's a little crazy right now. We all know that, but as a young person, I'm sure Jonathan, you can feel it too when you hear about
Mm-hmm.
older generations talking about how bad the world's going. You're like, hey, you're not making it. Like, we're the ones that are gonna have to live in this a little bit longer,
Yeah.
so even though it's crazy, you gotta have. I try to always have a very positive outlook on like, okay, you know what? But there's Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking with my deacon earlier today, and we were just talking about how sick we are of just hearing the news and everyone just constantly telling us how bad everything is, and it just gets so annoying, and all you want to do is just ignore it and just pray more.
Yeah. I think we got to detach ourselves from the daily news cycle because
You
news
have to.
is always like the old thing about you never hear about the plane that landed. I mean, you hear about the plane that crashed. I mean, 14,000 planes landed safely today.
Why do we need to know why everyone's dying all the time? It's just
remember that song "Dirty Laundry" by Don Henley?
No.
Dirty laundry.
It's about the
you
news.
both look at me.
That's nothing like it sounds, by the way. No.
Did I sing the wrong song with the?
No, you got it. Just I don't think we were on tune.
Oh no. Yeah, it was not well represented at all.
Yeah,
but I thought I was singing the wrong tune entirely. But
no, you had the right
roughly,
song.
yeah.
So it's
Dirty
just
Laundry,
basically
it's about the news cycle.
It's about the news cycle.
I see.
always the bad stuff. The people who
airing
die.
out the dirty laundry.
If it bleeds, it leads. That kind of thing.
And so excited when someone dies or something, so they can announce it and stuff like that.
Right. Because then you get more viewers, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
happy. Okay, so now that I've depressed everybody sufficiently, can we move on to trivia? Or are there any comments out there? I know David had a comment. I know we got a smaller audience because
YouTube is gone.
We got kicked. Got put in YouTube
Which
jail.
I do want to remind everybody, and I'll post the link in just a minute. But because these things kind of happen, it's really good idea to be on our email list because I will always send an update about that. And let us if we're not going to be on a certain channel or if we have to take a day off or something like that. So I'll link it again so you can sign up to it. Join the other 18 people on our email list. Let's get it up to 20.
Yeah,
Let's get it up to 20, man.
Yeah, 2 people, and if you are on the email list, well, then email one of your friends. Now, did your friend join us, or did you? I didn't see him.
I think he might have watched at some point.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting. So let's move on to trivia, and I think this is typically where Sissel. Yeah.
And now it's that time of the show where we gave Dave Summa to think about, and he gives it right back in a very optimistic spirit today.
Didn't Bill Kula come up with that?
Give Dave Summa to think about. Yeah,
right.
I think so. I think he did, and I got you a T-shirt with it and everything, didn't we?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
You didn't get a T-shirt. I'm sorry.
You got to be an intern for like 2 years.
Oh,
yeah.
Before
least,
you get a T-shirt. We give you water. Okay. So
That's
come on.
true. You give me water.
Okay. Who's who? You got nothing.
Well,
right?
I got something, but it's just not very good.
Okay. Well, we'll be the judge of that.
That's
Okay.
right.
She does not know. I asked her in the beginning
yeah,
to
that's
see.
right.
And then
You've already screened it with her?
yeah.
Well,
just
yeah,
as
I
like a
said it
test.
off the top of my head. I
Okay.
couldn't remember it. So
This is a terrible question.
All right.
But
Boy, you sound very pessimistic, Jonathan.
Yeah,
Are you okay?
Keep
No,
the
I know.
optimism up. Come on. This is the happy part of
This
the
is a
show.
great, amazing question, you guys. Do you know what the Eastern Orthodox practices and Eastern Catholic practices are for fasting during Lent?
That's a kind of a broad question.
Like you know how we just don't eat meat on Fridays, and
yeah,
then,
okay. So it's kind
what's
of
their
generally speaking, what do they do?
Yeah.
I would say no meat or dairy through the whole Lent.
Well, it's no meat, dairy, or eggs during the entirety of Lent.
All right. So I
I'm
kind
going
of
to
got
say
it.
it's good.
Yeah.
There it is. Sorry. I'm a little bit of delay
You're
over
easier
here.
than Diane. I think
I had
Diane.
no time
I think
to
Diane would have
prepare
bombed
anything.
me. Yeah.
Well, you can get a part of bomb. There you go.
we had some Eastern Christians who lived down the street from us in my previous neighborhood, and boy, they put us to shame. I mean, it was some
hardcore.
pretty serious stuff. Yeah.
Go extra Lent, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're like, oh, I'm going to Papados and having, shrimp tonight.
It's my excuse to eat fish today.
Yeah, I know.
Having
This,
crab
it's
Which
like
fish
the
actually
best
can be
meal
pretty
I've had all
expensive.
year.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
months.
Or you have me who, like, my family is my household is kind of a fish-free household because my sister's quite allergic. So we have, like, for lucky, mac and cheese. If not, it's just a hunk of cheese, whatever you can find around the house.
Yeah.
The problem with me is that I love pasta so much, and I love fish, so it's not in any way a penance. It's a treat for me.
You're going to
more.
give it up for Lent? Those two things?
Yeah,
Pasta and
I'll
fish?
Just give that up, and then I'll just eat bread.
Yeah.
You can eat one of
Next
those.
week will be our last show before Lent starts.
Ooh.
So maybe have some kind of Lenten theme, perhaps?
That'd be good. I like that.
Yeah, Aquinas
We can
on
wear
Lent.
like a hair shirt, maybe. You know, kind of.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Yeah, why don't I
Yeah.
do that?
All right, Sissel, you're up next.
Yeah, let me get this up. So last week I kind of not so successfully tried to do Pope or not Pope, which we might bring back another time when I actually have my book in front of me and I prepared it a little bit better. But today I thought I want to give Jonathan a chance here.
So am I out?
No,
so it's-
no.
it's
You're
okay.
in it too.
Trivia.
I
That's
will
what
be
I'm hearing.
completely honest. This one it's either going to be a hit or miss with you all. But I want to read some saint quotes and see if
all right.
you all can guess the saint.
Wait, which saint?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there's a few saints.
I hope they're not obscure.
Hey, wait.
Well, I'm not going to do. I'll put it this way: they're not obscure saints. I don't know if you'll know the quote.
Wait, can you
Okay.
tell us the saints, and then we have to match the saint to the quote? Just because, I mean...
They might make it too easy. I mean,
Well, no, yeah. Sure. Well, how many saints are there?
I'll
many?
do 4.
4? Okay. Do you want to? Well, you set the scene. We're trying to kind of like,
Yeah, you're like trying to-
commandeer your trivia
Yeah, it's
game.
just a little bit.
So
No
you
kidding.
guys set the rules.
It's the rules. Okay, how about let's just experiment it this time and see how good you are, and then I'll do it another time, and I'll
Okay.
give you a list of saints. Okay.
If we get none of them, then next time you can.
yeah, then we'll know.
fail.
But hey, keep a positive outlook, guys. You're gonna learn saint quotes you may not have known before.
Yeah,
There you go.
You Schopenhauer pessimist.
All right. The first quote is, "I know well that the greater and more beautiful the work is, the more terrible will be the storms that rage against it."
Saint Therese.
Okay.
Avelia.
Okay, that's your guess.
Okay.
I know well that the greater and more beautiful the work is, the more terrible will be the storms that rage against it.
Yeah, that sounds Teresa of Avila, but since you said it, I'm gonna go with Teresa of Lisieux.
Lisieux. Oh man, guys, I feel like in my head you guys got close because like you were on the right path. But it's actually that's Saint Faustina.
Oh, Faustina.
But I feel like y'all went with
okay.
you both picked out that it was a female. Though.
Female, yeah,
yeah
well,
that's
that's
Because you
female.
did like a
Interesting.
soft voice. That's kind of what
Yeah.
I
Oh
was
yeah, so
thinking.
that's what I'll be like.
She wasn't like, well,
I said, I know well that the greater.
yeah, well, you know.
It's like,
I'm a lumberjack.
yep.
Okay, I'm a lumberjack and
And
that's
I'm
okay.
okay.
Okay, all right. So
There's a cultural reference that Jonathan knows.
Well, it's Monty Python.
Monty
yeah.
Python.
Monty Python.
Okay, all right.
hey, we all knew it. What?
Yeah, there's one thing that unites us.
Okay, besides St. Thomas Aquinas
And Schopenhauer.
and
Yeah,
God.
there's no other reason I'm here. It's just,
Okay. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Moreover, Christians are born for combat, whereof the greater the vehemence. I always say that wrong.
This is a man.
Yeah, I
The
know,
more
yeah.
assured, God willing, the triumph. Have confidence, I have overcome the world. And that last part was from John 16:33.
Wait, could you
FYI.
say it again? Sorry.
Moreover, Christians are born for combat, whereof the greater the vehemence, the more assured, God willing, the triumph. Have confidence, I have overcome the world.
That last part was Jesus, but that
Yes.
united
Yeah.
Jesus because he's not a saint.
So
but,
don't guess Jesus,
yeah.
please.
Okay, so do I get to go first
Yeah.
this time?
Go for it.
All right.
Do you want me to give you a clue?
Yes.
It's a pope.
Oh, okay.
okay.
I'm going to say Pope Benedict the 16th.
Okay.
But wait, he's not a saint.
Oh,
Oh.
whoa.
Saint. You're right.
Oh, it has to be a saint.
Has to be a
okay,
saint.
it has to be a pope. I mean, it has to be.
It's
It
a
is a
saint.
pope. It has to be a saint. Okay, I'm gonna go with John Paul II then,
Oh, that's what I was gonna do.
Okay, you gotta guess something else then.
which means that it's probably wrong. 'Cause she's like, you got to guess something else then.
Well,
No,
gotta
she's
make it a
just being
competition.
optimistic.
Or yeah, there you go.
Pope.
See the futility.
It's just all pointless.
Yeah.
Pope Pius the 10th.
Pope Leo the 13th.
Oh, my favorite pope.
I know. That's why I was really hoping you'd get it, Dave.
Oh gosh.
I did that one specifically for you.
Oh well, thank you.
Okay, maybe this one might help you all because of
I
the
think I like
language.
the idea of knowing them beforehand.
Well,
but,
again, keep positive, guys.
Yeah, all right.
Optimistic. Okay,
All right,
ready?
let's go.
Dost thou hold wisdom to be anything other than truth, wherein we behold and
St. Alphonsus
embrace
Liguori.
the supreme good? No. You were so confident.
I know he was so
I've
confident.
heard that before.
Dost thou hold wisdom to be anything other than truth, wherein we behold and embrace the supreme good? This is a
Aquinas.
no.
Oh, that sounds so
You were
Aquinas.
so confident, Dave.
I
You
know.
both were so confident. It was
Ah.
Augustine.
Oh, okay, same thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
kind of same thing.
Yeah,
if you
I
think
mean,
about it.
Aquinas.
Let me see if I
Augustine.
can find one that's like really
Man,
okay. All right.
we
All
are
right.
horrible.
I'm gonna
As
do,
if Schopenhauer didn't bring
okay,
us down
guys,
enough
Yeah.
in this game.
I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna do one that I think you both should know, and so it's gonna be first come first serve. All right,
Okay,
ready?
First come, first serve.
All
What are
right.
we like at McDonald's or something? Okay.
All right. If you are what you should be, you will set the world ablaze.
Oh, that's I know this. Oh, Teresa Avila.
No, no,
Wait.
no. Saint
Catherine of
Saint
Siena.
Lawrence.
Catherine of Siena.
Yes.
Oh, no, wait.
What is happening? Wow,
Okay,
I thought
no,
you would both
no,
get that a little bit faster, but it's okay.
I got it within like 10 seconds. I mean, come on. I had one wrong guess. Okay.
That was chaos. All right,
I didn't
congratulations.
even-
Wait. Let me do the applause. Hold up, Dave. Needs some
All right.
applause. There you go.
All right. Very good.
You're
so,
welcome.
Okay. Well, that was fun. Thank you.
I'll do
Thank
a
you.
little more organized with one
Fun
next
in
time.
in a humiliating way. Okay.
Well, you know.
Okay. So this is not your question, but Schopenhauer, where do you think he was from?
By the way, Angela got it
Germany.
right on YouTube.
Angela?
She,
My mom.
Yes.
Oh, your
your
mom.
mom.
Okay. Yeah. If all
Both our moms are watching.
Yeah, if our Paul, Sissel's mom has passed away, so her dad needs to, or her stepmom,
There you go.
needs to watch.
Mom
If we
could be
just
watching.
get our moms to watch, I
Mom
mean,
party.
and then you like always say, oh, I got these friends that are watching, but they don't actually watch. I mean, but
Well, it's not my fault.
okay, so Schopenhauer was German, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a German theme.
Oh, dear.
And so this is,
may be
was
good.
this person born in Germany or not?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
You want to
Are we
play
both?
that?
Let's
Are
do
we, okay,
this.
question. Is it gonna
Okay.
be first
Okay.
come first serve?
Well, you both guess, and then
Okay.
I'll keep score.
Perfect.
Okay.
All
So
right.
here we go. Born in Germany or not?
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Ludwig von Beethoven. yes
he was
or no?
not.
Okay. Not. Yes,
I'm literally just guessing.
Ludwig von Beethoven.
I'm pretty sure he was Austrian.
You're both wrong.
Oh.
He was born in Bonn, Germany.
I also thought he was Austrian.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a fail. We're both Austrian.
All right. So if you're keeping score at home, it's 0-0.
Thank you, Dave.
All right. After
Thank
one
you.
round.
Score.
Optimism. It means that we've just learned more things.
I've got 10
Yeah.
of these. Okay.
Oh boy.
Albert Einstein.
No, Austria.
Just,
Germany.
yes or no?
Germany.
Germany or not?
I'll say no to
Oh,
be
yeah.
different.
Oh, it's-
Oh, sorry,
okay.
my
Oh,
bad.
So is this yes or no?
No, was he born in Germany?
Yes.
And you say,
No.
okay, young Jonathan gets it right.
Woo!
Okay, so Albert Einstein was born in Ulm, Germany, but he
I figured out the better strategies. Would it always be different or always?
Okay, so Jonathan gets 1 point here.
You want to know an interesting, totally random story of why I know that? There's a guy that I know.
I think we're gonna get it either way.
Yeah.
But
There's a guy I
I
know
don't think it really matters if we
that,
want it.
that came into the store where I work, and he just walked in immediately, put on a cowboy hat, and then just screamed. But the cowboy hat was too small, and he said that I can only have hats that they make in Germany because my head is so big and my brain is so large. So I know that smart people are from Germany, and Albert Einstein is from Germany. And that's how I know.
That is so random.
Yes.
Had nothing to do with Albert Einstein.
That's amazing.
Okay, Doctor of the Church, Hildegard of Bingen.
German.
No.
No?
I'll say no. Actually, I take that back.
Oh, yes, because Bingen is actually a city in Germany.
What
She's
does it mean that there's some saints that they didn't
okay.
actually weren't born in the city that they're named after?
All
You
right,
know? Just saying.
Of course they were. Like Thomas Aquinas was
all.
born in St. Louis or something. He was born in
Yeah, he was
Aquino.
joining Saint.
Okay,
St.
so
Louis.
Jonathan still has a 1-0 lead.
Haha.
Okay, Pope Benedict XVI, Joseph Ratzinger, German or born in Germany or not?
No.
No. I also would agree with that.
Oh, yes, he was. He's Polish. He's from Bavaria. Benedict XVI? No, he's German.
No, that's the
No,
Dave,
you're thinking of
I
John
don't
Paul
think this was a
II.
positive thing to end on.
I know.
My optimistic spirit is leaving me.
I know. The Schopenhauer. Okay, so Jonathan is still up 1-0.
Yeah, that's
You guys are feeding off each other
We
in
are,
a very
and
negative
bad.
way.
Yeah, we-
Stop
Okay.
copying me.
Okay, Karl Marx.
Stop being wrong.
Yes.
German or not German?
I think he actually.
Karl Marx.
I want to say he was born in England and he moved to Germany. I think that was right.
No, well,
We just learned about this. I should know this. I'm going to say no.
Okay, you say no. Karl Marx. Born in Germany or not born in Germany?
I'm trying to.
He's probably giving this some thought here.
Has anyone been not born in Germany so far on this list? I think they've all been born. They all were born in Germany. weren't they?
You're right. There seems to be a trend here.
There's a little bit of a trend going on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, Jonathan is now up 2-0.
Oh yeah.
Karl Marx was born. He was buried
Yeah,
in
he was-
in
Okay,
London.
I had something right
Okay,
there. Can I get
so,
a quarter of a point for remembering that random trivia?
Okay, all right. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
I thought you were going to say Wolfgang Puck for a second.
Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Amadeus.
Oh,
Goodness.
goodness.
Born
I
in
don't
Germany or
remember.
not?
I
This is just taking the life out of you.
Well, because I know
thought
that
I was an optimistic person.
I mean,
and
you're
just
so excited about this game, and
You're just
not
destroying
doing
me.
very well. But
the
hey,
thing
have
is-
fun with it. Just go with it.
I'm going to say he was Austrian.
Yeah, me too. He wasn't.
All right, you're both right.
Oh, thank
okay,
goodness.
all right.
Because I knew there was some composer that was in Austria.
When I went to Austria
stop.
on our Danube cruise.
Oh, that's right. You literally got me a mug that has him on it, I think.
He got married in St. Stephen's Church in Austria.
Oh,
so,
that's cool.
Okay, so 2-1. Jonathan is up.
I'm
let's
actually
see.
leading for once.
I know.
A few more real quickly. Let's see. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Ooh, good question.
Have you heard of him?
Austria.
Okay, well,
I think Jonathan might be right on this one, but hang on.
No,
no,
wait.
you can't look it up.
Wait,
not
no.
looking it up.
Wait. Is Schwarzenegger the guy that was the governor of California for a while?
Yes.
So he is Austrian. So no. My answer is no.
I was all going to say no as well.
Okay, you're both right.
Yes.
Yeah, he is Australian. I'm Austrian.
Oh,
Yes,
Australian.
you're right, you're right.
Australian.
Oh, hey, Austrian. Okay.
Okay.
Actor Bruce Willis.
Ooh.
You ever heard of Bruce
I thought you were
Willis?
gonna say Hasselhoff.
Die Hard. You know Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Honeymoon. Okay.
I didn't know he was even born in that area.
Well, he may not have been, and this may be a total trick question.
Maybe it's not.
I'm picturing him stepping on glass. That's the only thing I know him in is Die Hard. So
I've never actually seen Die Hard. No, that's horrible. But
I'm gonna say no. Because I literally
wait,
confidently I say no.
how many
Okay.
points am I leading by?
One, just
you're
one.
by one. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
you're
I
up.
get this wrong, we'll be tied.
Ooh.
Yeah. So,
Ugh.
the best thing would be to just agree with her, and then you either both get one or you both lose one, right?
Oh, he's trying to trick you up. No, I'm tricky.
No, but at the same time, I'm gonna say yes. He was born in Germany, just because why not?
Okay. Jonathan von Weber Hunsberg has gone up 3-1.
Oh!
Yes, he was born in Germany. All right. Okay, two more. I'm going to give.
So I have a chance to tie.
Okay. Adolf Hitler.
Ooh.
No.
I don't think. Yeah. Hold on a second.
No.
You don't think he was born in Germany?
Hold on.
German
hold-
leader Adolf Hitler.
Was not born in Germany.
Not born. Whoa, really?
He's really confident about that.
I know. He
and
seems
I don't know
very,
if he's just
but he's also
faking it.
confident about
No, I don't think. I think that's the whole point. Wasn't that one of the main reasons why he wanted to annex Austria? Is because he wasn't from Austria?
I'm not going to answer your question. I mean, come on.
Just ask. Okay, I'm gonna say no. He wasn't born in Germany as well.
All right, you're both right.
He's Austrian.
Okay. Yeah, he's from Austria,
He
right?
was our problem.
I don't even know if that reasoning was right. I just went with it.
Okay, final one. And Sissel has no chance of winning.
Thank you, Dave.
Let's see.
But she did a good job.
Yeah, she did. Johann Sebastian Bach. Johann
Ooh.
Sebastian Bach. Okay.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say yes.
You can say yes. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I'll say
Okay.
yes too. I have everything to lose, so it doesn't really matter.
Yes. So Johann Sebastian Bach was born in Germany. Okay. Thanks for playing, everybody. Do we have any comments as we close out the show? It's kind of a quiet
It was
crowd
a quiet
today.
show because half of our audience doesn't know where we are, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to share.
so-
Hold on. I forgot to share the link to Back to the Father, like signing up on the Talk Amongst Yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jonathan. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
You planning on coming back next week?
I am definitely yes.
Okay. All right. Good.
He said definitely. We have it on recording.
All right.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody. First-time posters like Dottie in Plano, my dear mom. She's posting and putting in communicating with us, which is good. Thanks, Buddy and David and everybody else who commented. That's going to bring an end to this week's Back to the Father. We'll see you next Friday, same time, same channel. God bless you. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for joining us for Back to the Father. And don't forget, the glory of God is the human person fully alive. If you have comments about the show, email Dave Palmer at grnonline.com.